Welcome back to the podcast. This is the Equally Yoked Show, and we've got a packed show for you today, rather tonight, but otherwise, whatever time you're listening, welcome to the stream. Okay, so we're going to be looking at so much new information regarding the alleged assassin, the alleged shooter of Charlie Kirk, and we're going to be breaking down some of the Utah County attorney who is breaking charges against said shooter. And we're going to be talking about it all right now. So before we get into the video, I do want to say, first and foremost, thanks so much for being here. And I want to know what time and where you're watching from. That would be amazing so that I could see where you guys are watching, see how you're, where you're coming from, where you're watching from, and we're just going to get right into it. So otherwise, if this is your first time here, we want to make sure that we're covering all of this information, all of this breaking news, because again, as I've said from the very beginning, there has been such an incredible amount of deception regarding the situation of Charlie Kirk. So much deception that is happening when it comes to social media and all the key players here that are trying to tell a narrative that is truly not the case. So otherwise, I want to just state that from the very beginning. Now, since this has happened, the hopes that the alleged shooter would have in bringing him down, I mean, it's really hard to fathom like what would be going on in his mind, like how he would actually become successful in doing what he wanted to do, which being that he wanted to silence him. Now, again, there's all these speculations as to why he was trying to do that. I mean, we just really won't know the full motive who knows? Up until he either tells us or what that case may be. So this video will tell us much more about this information. And as they tell us in this sort of breakdown of the charges against the assailant, we'll find more information that we are hoping to gain here. So let's go there in a second. But otherwise, I just want to say, if this is your first time here, welcome back to the podcast. And we're going to be getting into all of this stuff really, really soon. So I see you guys are just joining in. Thanks for being here. Let's get into the video. We're going to go ahead and check this out. This is the special report that is reported by ABC. This is the video live feed that they came showing us. So let's go ahead and just take a look at what is being said here. We're going to break down all the charges. We're going to see exactly what they mean. He's going to break down pretty much most of them, but otherwise I'll comment, we'll stop, and we'll go from there.
The murder of Charlie Kirk is an American tragedy. Charlie Kirk was murdered while engaging in one of our most sacred and cherished American rights, the bedrock of our democratic republic, the free exchange of ideas in a search for truth, understanding, and a more perfect union. It is also an offense against the state and to the peace and enjoyment of the people of Utah and of all those who visit here. But Charlie Kirk's murder also strikes a more personal and intimate chord. Charlie Kirk was first and foremost a husband and a father to two beautiful young children. He was a son, he was a brother, and a friend. Like all murders, the senseless and needless taking of Charlie Kirk's life has shattered the lives of those he loved and those who loved him.
Now, one thing I want to mention really quick, and we'll get back to the video, is Charlie Kirk's family is actually really anonymous. You can't find much about his parents. The only image that is circulating about his father, who, I mean, quite frankly, doesn't really look like his father, but I mean, who the heck knows? Maybe he takes after his mother. I just don't know. But otherwise, I haven't seen any images of them. I really don't know what they look like. I haven't been able to see anything. So with regards to his family, his personal family, rightly so, they're kept very anonymous. So who knows? But otherwise, I just wanted to point that out.
To Charlie's wife, Erica, his two young children, his parents, his family, and his friends, I express my sincere condolences and offer my heartfelt prayers on your behalf. I also want to express my concern for everyone who was at Charlie's Turning Point USA event at the Utah Valley University, and all who have been impacted by this tragedy. As county attorney, I am charged with bringing justice to those who offend our laws. I am charged with bringing justice for those who are harmed. I am charged with bringing justice for Charlie Kirk. I am committed to these aims. I take this responsibility seriously. Today, after reviewing the evidence that law enforcement has collected thus far.
Guys, I want to know your thoughts in the chat. Please, those who are joining in, those who are watching, I want to know you guys' thoughts. I know some of these can get pretty heated and pretty debatey, but let me know. I will be interacting with you live. We'll be talking about this stuff. I know there's a lot of, speculation with regards to some of the things that Charlie has said. And so otherwise, if you want to hear more of that stuff and you want to debate about it on this podcast, subscribe so we can talk about these things. The latest research that I'm doing with regards to the most controversial one that I've seen so far, the most controversial in the comments, are the fact that essentially he's scared or afraid of black pilots, which is an erroneous statement for people to say that, this is his stance on people who are black or just people who are black pilots. So it's erroneous because it's not true. And I'll be breaking that down very soon in the coming podcast. So just feel free to let me know even some of the other things in the comments.
I am filing a criminal information charging Tyler James Robinson, age 22, with the following crimes. Count 1, aggravated murder.
So they're going to list all the crimes here.
For intentionally or knowingly causing the death of Charlie Kirk under circumstances that created a great risk of death to others. Count 2, felony discharge of a firearm causing serious bodily injury, a first-degree felony. The state is further alleging aggravating factors on counts 1 and 2 because the defendant is believed to have targeted Charlie Kirk based on Charlie Kirk's political expression and did so knowing that children were present and would witness the homicide.
Some of the speculation is that Israel had something to do with this. Now, there's clips circulating of Charlie saying something on Pat David's show and even on his show with, I forget who was the other, Megyn Kelly, I believe her name is, talking about the fact that it's something to do with the Israelis or whatever the case, right? If that's your guys' thoughts, elaborate more in the chat. I want to know what you guys think about that. But I know that a lot of people are just immediately blaming Israel for this. Why that is? Well, we need to dive deeper. Candace Owens, even then, is also going on a sort of spree on her own. We'll talk about that. I reviewed her podcast, listened to her first podcast about it. Interesting, to say the least. But I do think that, I don't know, we have to still collect our thoughts on that. She might be onto something. She may not. I don't know. I want to know your guys' thoughts if you guys seen her podcast on this.
The state is also charging defendant with count 3, obstruction of justice, a second-degree felony for moving and concealing the rifle used in the shooting. Count 4, obstruction of justice, a second-degree felony for disposing the clothing he wore during the shooting. Count 5, witness tampering, a third-degree felony for directing his roommate to delete his incriminating texts. Count 6, witness tampering, a third-degree felony for directing his roommate to stay silent if police questioned him. And count 7, commission of a violent offense in the presence of a child, a Class A misdemeanor, for committing homicide knowing that children were present and may have seen or heard the murder and did so based on Charlie Kirk's political expression.
Now, based on the comment on the gunpowder, Kash Patel and Dan Bongino are continuing to say that this is an ongoing investigation, that there's still things that are being researched as to the group chats, the Discord chats, and everything else relating to this whole story here. I mean, this is an ongoing thing, so we just don't know. You say you have absolutely no interest in following this media blitz stuff, but got sacked into it. Well, I think honestly, it has a lot to do with your freedom of speech. It has a lot to do with even your Second Amendment that you're getting sacked into it. I think you should follow this stuff, although we probably don't want to be covering this stuff as much as sad as it is. We want to just get to the sort of we want to get down to the bottom of it, so we can just have the resolution of how everything went down, right? Without all these conspiracy theories, just hard truth. Just hard truth. And DBT, I don't get your reference here. I don't know what you're talking about when you're talking about hot dogs and all that stuff. I don't know that lingo. If this is some kind of weird stuff, I don't know, man. I don't want to know. Anyway, yeah, I just wanted to put that out there.
Also, following the press conference, I am filing a notice of intent to seek the death penalty. I do not take this decision lightly, and it is a decision I have made independently as county attorney, based solely on the available evidence and circumstances and nature of the crime. Because we are seeking the death penalty, the defendant will continue to be held without bail in the Utah County Jail.
Now, before we continue again, I know I'm continuing to just stop here and just comment. The alleged assassin is, I have to say that, just legal reasons and YouTube reasons. It's kind of weird and dumb, I think. But otherwise, we still don't know. We still don't know. This is because there could be some bigger story. I know there's all the theories about that it could be somebody else, right? It could be a third party, sort of, not a third party, but something that is bigger than what we know it to be as of right now. People don't believe that this is a 22-year-old expert marksman that is able to catch him exactly how he did. They just don't believe the evidence, right? The missing gun, right? Even when you look at you say he won't be killed for 25 years. I don't understand what you mean by that. Anyway, so they're putting charges on him and they are seeking death penalty for him. And the thought is that he will be executed by 5 trained professionals, right? There's going to be 4 loaded weapons. One of them will be a blank, and they will execute him that manner. And Utah is known to do this in the past. You say 200 yards is not an expert shot. Well, look, I think most people can't do that. I think most people aren't capable of doing that. Now, whether this guy was lucky, I don't know. So he is on suicide watch. Now, we'll look at that clip in a little bit. This is Jesse Waters. I mean, I actually want to pull it up for you right now. But he's on suicide watch. So let's actually go there and just for a second, and we'll see exactly what he says.
Fox News alert, Charlie Kirk's assassin is on suicide watch, and he's not cooperating with the police. But his DNA was found everywhere, from the towel he conceived the gun in to a screwdriver found near the sniper's nest. The investigation isn't stopping with Tyler Robinson.
We're seeing who talked to who, not just in chat groups. We're seeing who texted who was around who. We're using our geofencing capabilities to map out exactly where individuals were. And then we're also getting into their personal cell phone information to say, were you calling so-and-so? Were you texting so-and-so?
Robinson was in group chats with dozens of people. The FBI is working on cracking in. The FBI is also investigating messages that were leaked to the Post, where Tyler Robinson reportedly admitted to the murder. Quote, "Hey guys, I have bad news for y'all. It was me at UVU yesterday. I'm sorry for all of this." If Robinson wasn't a lone wolf, we'll find out pretty soon.
If this was a larger effort, there was any aiding and abetting, whether it be financial, whether it be someone who knew the specifics of it and failed to report that. There's not going to be a stone left unturned if there was anyone involved who aided, abetted. I can't say that in strong enough terms. Every single FBI asset on this team is being applied and used in this investigation.
Now we're learning that Robinson texted someone before the assassination.
He had a text message exchange, he, the suspect, with another individual, in which he claimed that he had an opportunity to take out Charlie Kirk and he was going to do it.
So anyway, so we'll get to that. It says that his assassin, his alleged assassin, is on suicide watch. He's refusing to cooperate, and FBI is trying to crack into his phone. So what happens here from now on? A lot of people are saying that actually the family members of his boyfriend, right, are saying that he became extremely left. I forget the other kid's name, but otherwise that they were lovers, and he just became more and more radical. Now, why Tyler was doing this, we still don't know, whether that was on behalf of his boyfriend or what. But I want to know what you guys think about all these exchanges. Here's one thought that somebody has been saying to me as of recent is they're saying that it just seems too fishy. Like you wouldn't, kids these days, they should know that they have a digital footprint, that you can't just delete messages and think that it's all going to be fine. Like nobody's going to be able to find it. These messages and chats are on the servers, and Discord is a US based server. So even if those chats were deleted, maybe they thought they were secure and safe. Who knows? I'm not sure what was going on through the mind, but otherwise they were able to recover any of the deleted messages, any of the deleted chats. And even so, there has been some fishy things going on when it comes to social media accounts deleting their pages. Powder Girl, you say, I love all these guys in the chat saying it's such an easy shot. Are these guys full of it or what? I don't know. It seems like it's Lance Twigs. Thank you. Somebody sends Lance Twigs, who is in transition. So I don't know. Do those who say 200 is an easy shot, are you guys often using what is it, hunting? Are you guys in is that something that you're doing recreationally? So you're able to you can for sure nail a 200, no doubt. I'm just out of curiosity. All right, let's continue on here. I just wanted to stop for that suicide watch because we don't want no Epstein nonsense to happen here, right? We don't want none of that. So he's on special suicide watch.
Turning to the 10-page information, these are the allegations.
And yes, he did have training to shoot. He did. I'll make that clear. It wasn't his first time.
Charlie Kirk was shot and killed while speaking to a large crowd on the campus of Utah Valley University in Orem, Utah. Police found the suspected murder weapon, a bolt-action .30-06 rifle, nearby. Over the next approximately 33 hours, police conducted a manhunt for the shooter until the evening of September 11th, 2025, when Tyler James Robinson surrendered to police at the Washington County Sheriff's Office. DNA consistent with Robinson was found on the rifle's trigger. After shooting Mr. Kirk, Robinson hid the gun, discarded the
So that's the footage that they're showing right there, that he apparently has a rifle in his hand as he's running off the building. Dan Bongino says that when he jumps off, it looks like he drops the rifle, picks it up, right? And then continues on. And then it shows that he's limping, and people are saying that he has it in his... Officials are saying that he has it in his leg, but he's clearly bending his leg in some instances.
To be held at noon on September 10th, 2025 at UVU. The event was the first in a series of similar events to be held at college campuses nationwide. Mr. Kirk is a well-known conservative activist famous for these type of events, where he discusses various political issues and debates with audience members. His events and comments have garnered a significant number of supporters and drawn the ire of many who disagree with his political views. The event at UVU was announced far in advance and garnered significant publicity and interest. Consequently, several hundred people attended. Mr. Kirk was interacting with a crowd before the event officially got underway. Then, at approximately noon, Mr. Kirk seated himself under a portable canopy behind a table and microphone.
So, by the way, one of the chats says, you Americans need to steer away from both the far right and far left and head towards the middle to unify. We can't believe Trump keeps doubling down hate speech with his blame on left speech. Now, I do want to point out, by the way, I'd like to know where you're from, Mr. Bigglesworth, what if you're not in America, or if you are in America and you're here on a visa, whatever the case is, you don't have to share that information, obviously, but whatever it is, I'd like to know where you're from. If you're watching this from an outside perspective, that would be interesting to know. However, I think Trump is doubling down because of the fact that, there's the Senate hearing that was conducted today on Kash Patel. And there was one of the senators that was going off on the fact that people are saying this is not left hate speech, right? But when he brings out the evidence with everything that has happened in the past, he makes a pretty good point. That is something that I want to review at another podcast. Dude, it gets crazy, guys. It really gets crazy, that Senate hearing. So I want you guys to hear that at some point, but let's continue on.
Began speaking to the crowd and fielding questions from attendees, a format Mr. Kirk commonly used at his events. Mr. Kirk allowed his questioners to approach a microphone positioned directly in front of him. Mr. Kirk's team members were very close to him on his right and left, as well as some behind his canopy and others.
You're right. You say he also took down his weapon, took it apart, and then put it back together. It does seem strange.
Mr. Kirk on three sides. Temporary metal fencing separated attendees from Mr. Kirk by only a matter of feet. Directly above and behind Mr. Kirk was the UVU Hall of Flags, an indoor walkway spanning several hundred feet with floor-to-ceiling glass windows which overlook the plaza where Mr. Kirk was seated. People were in the walkway at the time of the shooting. Approximately 15 minutes into the event, Mr. Kirk was answering a question about mass shootings by transgender individuals when a gunshot rang out. The bullet struck Mr. Kirk in the neck. He slumped to the ground almost immediately. The bullet's trajectory passed closely to several other individuals beside Mr. Kirk, including the questioner who was standing directly in front of Mr. Kirk. Children were visible near Mr. Kirk's stage when he was shot. Mr. Kirk was rushed to a nearby hospital where he was declared deceased. The medical examiner's report is still pending. So UVU surveillance. So at the moment of the shot, a UVU police officer was watching the crowd from an elevated vantage point. As soon as he heard the shot, he began to scan the area for threats. Believing the shot came from a rifle because of its sound, he looked for potential sniper positions. He noted a roof area approximately 160 yards away from Mr. Kirk as a potential shooting position and rushed there to look for evidence. The suspected shooting position is adjacent to an open, publicly accessible walkway. To access the suspected location, a person must climb over a railing and then drop to the roof only slightly below. The UV officer climbed over the railing and down onto the roof. He then walked to the suspected shooting position and confirmed a clear shooting corridor between the position and Mr. Kirk's seat. He also noticed markings in the gravel rooftop, consistent with a sniper having lain on the roof, impressions in the gravel potentially left by the elbows, knees, and feet of a person in a prone shooting position. Police reviewed surveillance from the camera covering the roof and discovered that it recorded an individual dressed in dark clothing cross the railing from the public walkway and drop.
Now, just as a side note, there was a video done by AI Tally. You can find him on YouTube. He does a breakdown of the sort of scenario. I believe the distance that he calculates in that video is 131 yards. Who's right? I don't know. They're saying about 200 yards. He's saying about 131 yards. You can measure the difference in Google. Who knows if it's different from what Google might be reporting or what you can measure in Google versus what you can actually measure in person. Is there a difference there? I don't know.
And ran across the roof to the northeast. This discovery led to an intensive review of UBU surveillance recordings to attempt to track and identify the suspect. Surveillance revealed the following. At approximately 11:51 a.m., the suspect entered campus from the north. He is seen wearing a black shirt with an American flag in the center, a dark baseball cap, and large sunglasses. Throughout the surveillance, the suspect keeps his head down and rarely raises his head enough to get a clear image of his face. As he proceeds across the campus, he is seen walking with an unusual gait. The suspect walks with very little bending in his right leg, consistent with a rifle being hidden in his pants. This unusual gait continues until the suspect is seen crossing the railway off the open walkway and onto the roof, where he leaves the camera's view. A camera later captures the suspect as he runs across the roof to the suspected shooting position. Immediately after the shot was fired, a camera captures the suspect running across the roof carrying an item whose shape is consistent with a rifle. The suspect is then seen climbing down from the roof. He appears to drop the item he was carrying as he hits the ground in a controlled fall. He then picks up the item and runs toward the northeast end of campus. Expanded crime scene investigation. Law enforcement officers followed the suspect's escape path to the northeast end of campus, where they believe the suspect left campus and entered a wooded area. In that wooded area, investigators found a bolt-action rifle wrapped in a towel. The rifle contained 1 spent round and 3 unspent rounds. This is consistent with the facts officers observed at the time of and immediately after the shootings. No shell casings were found on the roof, suggesting a bolt action rather than an auto-loading weapon, and only a single round was fired.
Isn't that crazy though? Only a single round. Usually in cases like this, many are, he's going to go over some of the inscriptions here, but many of these cases where there is a public shooting, typically there's more than 1 shot fired. Possibly because they want to either, so here's the thing, when you're going through training, either you work at a retail place or whatever, it doesn't matter. Usually they have these trainings that happen, either they're policies that they show you, or they do trainings and drills every now and again. Typically what's done is, or what's said is, the person will try to do the most amount of damage. So say if it's at a mall, they will just open fire. This will typically last 5 to 10 minutes. And then that's it, right? And so in some cases, like this case is very unique. It was just 1 shot fired. So like, how did they know? Did if the alleged shooter knew he was going to get the shot, I mean, you have to account for wind. You have to account for droppage in the bullet. I mean, all that stuff. It seems like you guys know kind of more about that than I do. I just want to know your thoughts on that. There's a lot more to calculate than just aiming and pulling the trigger. especially with the Mauser 30-06. I mean, it seems like I don't know. Is there any differences in modern weapons? Because that is apparently an old weapon.
Was etched, no Tice's bulge, OWO, what's this?
By the way, he says no Tice's. I think
cartridge.
maybe he meant to say notices bulge. I don't know. Is it no Tice's? I'm not sure. I'm not familiar with that.
We're not fired.
I just know it's referring to furries.
Hey fascist, catch, with arrow symbols. The third cartridge, oh Bella Chow, Bella Chow, Bella Chow, Chow Chow. The fourth cartridge, if you read this, you are gay, LMAO. The rifle, ammunition rounds, and towel were sent for forensic processing. DNA consistent with defendant was found on the trigger, other parts of the rifle, the fired cartridge casing, 2 of the 3 unfired cartridges, and the towel. Law enforcement was unable to immediately locate the shooter, so they published photos of the shooter from the UVU surveillance cameras and asked for the public's help to identify him. Meanwhile, law enforcement continued to try to identify the shooter through other means. The Washington County investigation. On the evening of September 11th, 2025, as law enforcement continued their investigation, Tyler James Robinson went to the Washington County Sheriff's Office with his parents.
Out of curiosity, I want to know you guys' thoughts. This video I looked up pretty short after on the Mauser. And I just want to know if you guys think this is what the shot sounds like, right up close, versus what you hear in the actual video. Obviously, I'm not going to play the actual video, but hear this.
Of shooting a genuine 1903 Springfield rifle in 30-06, but now's my chance.
What are you guys' thoughts?
And a family friend to turn himself in. Robinson's mother stated that the following to police. On September 11, 2025, the day after the shooting, Robinson's mother saw the photo of the shooter in the news and thought the shooter looked like her son. Robinson's mother called her son and asked him where he was. He said he was at home sick and that he had also been at home sick on September 10th. Robinson's mother expressed concern to her husband that the suspect shooter looked like Robinson. Robinson's father agreed. Robinson's mother explained that over the last year or so, Robinson had become more political and had started to lean more to the left, becoming more pro-gay and trans rights oriented. She stated that Robinson began to date his roommate, a biological male who was transitioning genders. This resulted in several discussions with family members, but especially between Robinson and his father, who have very different political views. In one conversation before the shooting, Robinson mentioned that Charlie Kirk would be holding an event at UVU, which Robinson said was a stupid venue for the event. Robinson accused Kirk of spreading hate. Robinson's father reported that when his wife showed him the surveillance image of the suspected shooter in the news, he agreed that it looked like their son. He also believed that the rifle that police suspected the shooter used matched a rifle that was given to his son as a gift. As a result, Robinson's father contacted his son and asked him to send a photo of the rifle. Robinson did not respond. However, Robinson's father spoke on the phone with Robinson. Robinson implied that he planned to take his own life.
So in this allegation here, his mother saw it, then his father, right? So on some of the other news articles, it doesn't mention the mother. So I don't know. Does that seem off a little bit?
Robinson's parents were able to convince him to meet at their home. As they discussed the situation, Robinson implied that he was the shooter and stated that he couldn't go to jail and just wanted to end it. When asked why he did it, Robinson explained there is too much evil and the guy, referring to Charlie Kirk, spreads too much hate. They talked about Robinson turning himself in and convinced Robinson to speak with a family friend who is a retired deputy sheriff. At Robinson's father's request, the family friend met with Robinson and his parents and convinced Robinson to turn himself in. The family friend spoke to police and reported telling Robinson that it would be best if he brought all evidence with him to the sheriff's office to avoid police having to search his parents' home. The friend also asked Robinson if he had any clothes that were related to what he did. Robinson replied that he had disposed of the clothes in different areas. The roommate. Police interviewed Robinson's roommate, a biological male who was involved in a romantic relationship with Robinson. The roommate told police that the roommate received messages from Robinson about the shooting, and he did provide those messages to police. On September 10th, 2025, the roommate received a text message from Robinson which said, "Drop what you're doing, look under my keyboard." The roommate looked under the keyboard and found a note that stated, quote, "I had the opportunity to take out Charlie Kirk, and I'm going to take it." Police found a photograph of this note. The following text exchange then took place. After reading the note, the roommate responded, "What? You're joking, right?" Robinson, "I am still okay, my love, but am stuck in Orem for a little while longer yet. Shouldn't be long until I can come home, but I gotta grab my rifle still. To be honest, I had hoped to keep this secret till I died of old age. I am sorry to involve you." Roommate, "You weren't the one who did it, right?" Robinson, I am. I'm sorry." Roommate, "I thought they caught the person." Robinson, "No, they grabbed some crazy old dude, then interrogated someone in similar clothing. I had planned to grab my rifle from my drop point shortly after, but most of that side of town got locked down. It's quiet, almost enough to get out, but there's one vehicle lingering." Roommate, "Why?" Robinson, "Why did I do it?" Roommate, "Yeah." Robinson, "I had enough of his hatred. Some hate can't be negotiated out. If I am able to grab my rifle unseen, I will have left no evidence. Going to attempt to retrieve it again. Hopefully they have moved on. I haven't seen anything about them finding it." Roommate, "How long have you been planning this?" Robinson, "A bit over a week, I believe. I can get close to it, but there is a squad car parked right by it. I think they already swept that spot, but I don't want to chance it." Robinson again, "I'm wishing I had circled back and grabbed it as soon as I got to my vehicle. I'm worried what my old man would do if I didn't bring back Grandpa's rifle. IDEK if it's had a serial number, but it wouldn't trace to me. I worry about prints. I had to leave it in a bush where I changed outfits."
Now, I don't want to just jump the gun here, but he did say that the scribes on the writing on the bullets were more just for meme purposes. I believe that's what he said. I'm not sure if that already passed. It could be coming up in this in all this, but otherwise this is still ongoing.
"Didn't have the ability or time to bring it with. I might have to abandon it and hope they don't find prints. How the F will I explain losing it to my old man? Only thing I left was the rifle wrapped in a towel. Remember how I was engraving bullets? The effing messages are mostly a big meme. If I see notice bulge UWU on Fox News, I might have a stroke, all right. I'm going to have to leave it. That really effing sucks. Judging from today, I'd say Grandpa's gun does just fine, IDK. I think that was a $2K scope.
Somebody said George Zinn was the crazy dude. Yeah, I have an article on that. This is the guy. Let's see. I think this is the guy here. Yeah, George Zinn. So he was apparently trying to, let me pull you over to that article, but apparently he was trying to distract people from, let's see here. Let me see if I can find it. There it is. This is the article here. It says, report older man initially arrested after Kirk's shooting confessed to distracting police from real shooter. This is the man that we saw in the blue shirt and shorts, I believe, or the other one. There was two, I think, that were arrested. But it says reports from various outlets indicate the 71-year-old man initially arrested after Charlie Kirk was shot, and now allegedly confessed to trying to distract police from the real shooter. Now, of course, he's going to be charged with this, but it says video of 71-year-old George Zinn being led away from the shooting scene in handcuffs about an hour after the shooting led many to believe he was the shooter and that therefore the shooter had been apprehended. However, Zinn was charged with this obstruction of justice, not with the assassination. Fox 13 Salt Lake City noted, it says the outlet pointed to police documents indicating Zinn was arrested after allegedly screaming, "I shot him, now shoot me." When no officers shot, Zinn allegedly yelled again, "I shot him, now shoot me." Now, of course, there's further reports that talk about that he's done this before at rallies. Not that he said that he shot people before, but the fact that he's tried to do this in other types of rallies. Let me see if they I don't think they mention it here. There's somebody that went more in depth onto what he's done. Like he's kind of known to go to rallies and do this stuff, do crazy stuff rather. Not just say that he shoots people, but anyway. So I just thought I'd point that out. All right, let's go back to the. Here we go.
Wink, wink. Robinson again. Delete this exchange. Again, Robinson, my dad wants photos of the rifle. He says Grandpa wants to know who has what. The feds released a photo of the rifle, and it is very unique. He's calling me, RN, not answering. Robinson, since Trump got into office, my dad has been pretty diehard MAGA.
By the way, a lot of the people that are saying with regards to the way that they were texting is not very Gen Z-like. So here's the transcripts here that he's putting out.
Again, you are all I worry about, love. That came from Robinson. Roommate, I'm much more worried about you. Robinson, don't talk to the media, please. Don't take any interviews or make any comments. If any police ask you questions, ask for a lawyer and stay silent. The search for Robinson's residence. Police executed a search warrant on Robinson's residence. During that search, police discovered a shell casing with etchings like the etchings found on the shells in the rifle near UVU. Police also found several target boards with bullet holes in Robinson's home. Now, as I stated in the beginning, when I read those allegations, these are allegations. And like the evidence set forth in this statement, those allegations, what you've heard from the media, even from state and federal officials, has not been tested in the crucible of a jury trial. I understand the public's desire to know the facts. My own family members have pressed me for information. Why are we reluctant to share the details of the investigation itself and comment on the case? because I want to ensure a fair and impartial trial. I became a prosecutor because of my love for the ideals of this great country and the principles embedded in our Constitution. The free exchange of ideas and opinions is critical to this great American experiment, but so too are the protections afforded to the accused found in the Fifth and Sixth Amendments.
Yeah, one thing that I wanted to point out is actually this video that is of a reporter who's saying that it's very touching that his lover, that he was sending his lover this information. Now, this is the report here. Let me pull it up for 1 second. Let's see. Where is it? Oh, you know what? It's actually going to be right here. Yeah. Here we go. This is ABC's Matt Gutman. Thank you, Sarai. Thank you. It's my beloved wife. Let's see. Let me show you this wild boy. All right. I think you guys are going to find this pretty wild. Let's check it out.
We have seen an alleged murder with such specific text messages about the alleged murder weapon, where it was hidden, how it was placed, what was on it, but also it was very touching in a way that I think many of us didn't expect. A very intimate portrait into this relationship between the suspect's roommate and the suspect himself, with him repeatedly calling his roommate who is transitioning, calling him my love, and I want to protect you, my love.
How is this touching? I really want to know. I mean, what do you guys think about this nonsense? Touching? This is touching? I can guarantee you, because of everything that is going on, nobody is tolerating the nonsense. And he didn't necessarily condone or say anything about Charlie Kirk, as many are. But he says this is touching. These messages are very touching. This story here.
So it was this duality of someone who the attorney said not only jeopardized the life of Charlie Kirk and the crowd, but was doing it in front of children, which is one of the aggravating circumstances of this case. And on the other hand, he was, speaking so lovingly about his partner. So just remember that name, Matt Gutman. He's probably not going to be on ABC after today or after that, whenever that was aired. I do want to find the, let's see, there is a articles that are talking about the fact that, so here's one. It says trans writer who celebrated Charlie Kirk's death disavowed by U.S. Olympic BMX team. So it says, go suck a shotgun is one of the phrases that the U.S. Olympic member, trans writer, who was talking about. So her name is Chelsea Wolfe. Well, she's a transgender athlete, Chelsea Wolfe, an alternate in BMX for the U.S. at the Tokyo Olympics in 2021, posted a significant number of social media posts giddy over Charlie Kirk's assassination in the days of his death. But Team USA has come out to remind Olympic fans that Wolfe was no longer a member of the team. This is just the nature of this whole thing. Now, there's another instance of this. Ilhan Omar is on the hot plate for saying some things. We're going to go over that article in a second. Let me see if I can bring you over to that article. Let me see here. This is that. Let me show you here. So this is U of Tennessee. I'm not sure if that was a typo. Knoxville professor. Oh, university. All right. University. All right. Don't. All right. Anyway, University of Tennessee, Knoxville professor suspended, faces firing after claiming Charlie Kirk's kids are better off after the assassination. That is so sad. How could she even say this? So it says the University of Tennessee, Knoxville was suspended and is now pursuing the firing of assistant anthropology professor Tamar, says according to the report by the Tennessean. In reaction to the assassination of Charlie Kirk, the world is better off without him. Even those who are claiming to be sad for his wife and kids, like his kids, are better off living in a world without a disgusting psychopath like him. Clearly, she's never listened to him in context, because a lot of the things that we're seeing circulate when it comes to the Charlie Kirk clips, especially his college debates, they're all taken out of context. So here's the email that is being presented here. Shows the message here. So it says, I've unfriended 4 people since Kirk's assassination. This is somebody else. It says, I get it. They're mourning him because of his message, but the context of his message was full of hate. The content, sorry. Replace that with context and she would be completely wrong. Right? I mean, even then, she's wrong still. She's saying the content of his message was full of hate. But when you look at the context of his messages, they were not full of hate. It says genocide, apologia, and bigotry, yet they are treating him like the next best thing since Jesus. So my secular sensibilities find that to be blasphemous and Lil Delulu. I guess we grew apart. And this is Tamar here on the bottom. She says the world is better off without him, even those who are claiming, so on and so forth. Now, I did want to show you a video. Let's see if I can find it. But it's basically a mom who's talking about, it's just so sad. It really is. If I can even find the video, but yeah, I'm gonna have to look for it. Anyway, so we'll get to that. Let's keep trekking on this video here.
The right against self-incrimination.
David, welcome.
The right to a speedy and public trial, the right to the effective assistance of counsel, the right to confront one's accusers, and the right to compel the attendance of witnesses. And perhaps most importantly, under our Constitution, the accused is presumed innocent until we, the state, prove to an impartial jury of defendant's peers his guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. That jury cannot rely on our allegations, on what they hear in the news, or on what they hear from a public official. The jury is the sole trier of fact, and they will ultimately determine those facts based on evidence a trial judge has determined is admissible. Again, as prosecutors, we bear the burden to prove guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. But make no mistake, we welcome this burden. I'd like to now introduce my trial team who will be charged with prosecuting the case. This is a veteran and expert team of some of the state's best trial attorneys. Chad Grunander, who is one of my 2 chief deputies.
Okay, so I'm going to move on from this. So this is a report that the suspect's mother has said that her son had moved to the left in the past year.
All right, let's go down to Provo, Utah, and here is Jeff Gray. He is the Utah County DA announcing charges.
Charges and detail what the county's findings are up to this point, and then he will take questions. The number of questions may be limited, however. I may cut it off. I may assist him in helping to pick the people who are asking the question. We just ask that you keep the questions to the process of what we're talking about and refrain from asking questions that speculate or get into the political dynamic.
All right, I'm gonna have to find the transcript that talks about this. So let's go for it. Let's see.
The last year or so, Robinson had become more political and had started to lean more to the left, becoming more pro-gay and trans rights oriented. She stated that Robinson began to date his roommate, a biological male who was transitioning genders. This resulted in several discussions with family members, but especially between Robinson and his father.
So some of that was already covered in the last video. I just wanted to point that out just to reemphasize the point that his mother and people are talking, family members are talking about both of these two, right? Lance and Tyler. So this is somebody who's actually getting fired because she decided to pay tribute and honor Charlie Kirk. And this is just sad. This is just sad. This is Benny Ray Harmony. Effective immediately, I have resigned from Wix ABC 20 after being suspended for airing a nonpartisan tribute to Charlie Kirk this past Friday. So she's one of the first, says many in the mainstream media have been fired or punished for mocking his assassination. I believe I am the first to be targeted for honoring him on air. I think she's going to get a lot more jobs. I'm just saying it. She might get a lot of more jobs out of this. I hope so. I hope she gets put into a really good position, and sayonara to this ABC 20. So it says, my resignation is guided by values that are essential to who I am, which I refuse to set aside in order to keep a job. I choose my faith and love of country and always will.
Much for tuning into Marketplace today. So I want to talk about something for a minute, and it is heavy, so please bear with me. I want you to know that it's okay if you feel sadness. It's okay if you're grieving. 2 days ago, I lost a mentor, my first boss, the first person who made me believe in myself, that encouraged me to chase this dream that you're watching right now, Charlie Kirk. There's a lot going on in our world right now, in our country, but I want to say one thing. Lean on your neighbors. Speak up for what you believe in. I don't care what it is. I want to share with you one of my favorite sayings that Charlie would always tell us at the office. He would yell it from the mountaintops, so please listen. When conversations stop happening, when individuals become wordless, that's when violence begins. So, if you do one thing today, make it be with passion, with conviction. Stand up for your friends, stand up for your beliefs, and speak loudly, even if your voice shakes. Your words have meaning, your values have purpose. Never forget that. Thank you, CK. You changed my life.
So that's wild. She's the first. She's the first, really. So this is kind of what's going on. So here's Charlie Kirk's pastor, Rob McCoy, asked a few of us to pass along his statement about the Candace Owens mess. Again, I think Candace Owens might be going off the deep end. That's just my personal opinion. We just have to figure out what exactly she's going to say, what's going to come out from her channel, right? A lot of people believe and trust her. The two haven't spoken. I mean, I don't know the feud behind that, but they haven't spoken in a while. And ever since his passing, she's shared all these videos and very personal videos too, right? So it's, I don't know. So here it is. It says, Charlie Kirk was my friend and I was his pastor. I want to simply say this regarding Candace Owens. Charlie Kirk was a friend to Candace and never publicly spoke poorly of her, though he disagreed with her. He never operated nor entertained gossip or innuendo concerning Candace. This is very biblical, mind you, very biblical. The fact that he didn't entertain gossip or anything like that. My only comment I offer regarding Candace is this. I only wish at this tragic time of mourning she would be the friend to Charlie that he was to her. He would never have treated Candace or her family in such way had, God forbid, this tragedy been hers. Then he quotes Proverbs 17:17, a friend loves at all times. Interesting. So that's kind of what's going on. This is Benny. These are the text drops. This is the transcript of what's going on here. And this is Benny posting this on his account. You can see it on his X account. We already went over the Matt Gunman story, but let's see. There's a couple other news articles that I want to show you guys because of the severity of everything that is happening, right? So we just can't miss anything here. So this is actually interesting because somebody who attempted to order a Starbucks drink associate couldn't put the name Charlie Kirk. You're going to see it.
You want 2, honey? 2? Okay. Hi, let me get a grande mint majesty with 2 honeys.
Let me ring you up over here, okay?
Okay.
Now, I must say, this person may get in trouble because they're recording without the consent of the person. This is technically private property. I'm not sure what could possibly go down with this, but it seems like it's not going to be that. I mean, maybe it might not be that big of an issue that they will pursue legal action against the person who is recording. When we talk about the Office Depot employee refusing to print anything of Charlie Kirk for the vigil, they said it was propaganda. We can't print propaganda images. What do you guys think about that? That is wild. But Office Depot, thankfully, look, if Starbucks goes and tries to attack the person recording the video, they might get a lot of hate for that. However, Office Depot did the right thing, and what they did was they decided to actually correct the situation by terminating the employee or the employees in question. I'm not sure if both employees got terminated, but there has been some termination, and they said we corrected this situation. So here's what's going on.
Perfect. What else today?
That's it.
Perfect. What was the name for the order? Or actually, you need a name.
The name is Charlie Kirk.
We can't do political names, but it didn't even ask for a name to begin with, so it's gonna be $3.75, okay?
Oh, but can you write the name on the cup?
The sticker won't print.
Oh, you can't write on it?
I could, but I can write Charlie.
What?
The sticker won't print. Come on, what a big lie. The sticker won't print. Come on. That is the most nonsense thing that any employee could say to cover their own rear, probably because they don't like Charlie Kirk, but they can write Charlie Kirk on the cup. And even then, it's not like their systems got updated with Charlie Kirk. I mean, if that's the case, put out an internal memo. You know, make that public. Make it public that they did this and it was a mistake and they shouldn't have done this. Their computers shouldn't have registered somebody, because most certainly if they just asked for a different name, I don't know, George Floyd maybe. Who knows? I'm really curious. Would somebody of Starbucks say that they can't do it because it's political? That's just a curiosity. I don't know.
Can't you write the whole name?
Because it's political.
Political?
Yes, yeah. Let me start your key for you, okay? And it's going to be $3.75 today.
You know what? Forget it. I don't want it.
Yeah, so that's wild. So it says Senate unanimously passes resolution condemning Charlie Kirk assassination. It says the United States Senate has unanimously passed my resolution condemning the assassination of Charlie Kirk and praising his outstanding legacy. Senator Mike Lee said in a post on X, "This is just a flag planted on a hill. What matters is where we can carry it next." The text of the resolution, according to the photos included in Lee's post, says, whereas Charlie Kirk was horrifically assassinated on September 10th, 2025 at Utah Valley University while speaking to a large group of college students. Whereas Charlie Kirk was a devoted husband, father, and Christian. Whereas in 2012, Charlie Kirk founded Turning Point USA, a conservative campus advocacy group that quickly became one of the fastest growing college campus chapter organizations in the country. And whereas Charlie Kirk frequently engaged college students of all political backgrounds in open debates and discussions encouraging civil discourse on college campuses among college students, now therefore, be it the text of the resolution continues to state that it should be resolved that the UNS Senate condemns Kirk's assassination in the strongest possible terms and extends its deepest condolences and sympathies to Kirk's family, including his wife, Erica, and their 2 children. Text of the resolution also states that it should be resolved that the Senate honors Kirk's commitment to the constitutional principles of civil discussion and debate between all people. And this is reported by Breitbart's News deputy political editor, Bradley J. So Quite interesting. So Ilhan Omar, as I mentioned, says Nancy Mace files legislation to penalize Ilhan Omar for disgraceful remarks on his assassination, Charlie Kirk's assassination. She has said some quite disgraceful things. So here's the dispute here, or the resolution, to strip Ilhan Omar of her committee assignments after her disgraceful remarks. And this is great because Ilhan Omar is completely anti-American. This is something that Charlie Kirk would have advocated for himself. And I think he'd be happy for that. So it says, when asked about Omar's comments calling Kirk a reprehensible human being, and if she should be stripped of her committee assignments, Trump described Omar as a disgraceful person. And this is that video there.
Ilhan Omar, after his assassination, called Charlie Kirk a reprehensible human being. Should she be stripped of her committee assignments?
I would say, I think she's a disgraceful person. You know, I think she's a disgraceful person, a loser. It's amazing the way people vote. I know it's people from her area, maybe of the world. I don't know. They got here and they voted her in. It's hard to believe, but I think she's a disgusting person.
You say, where's the recent political violence from the conservatives? There is none. There is none. It's weird. You guys seen that video? It's not coming up. All right. So let's let me see if I can pull up what she said. Yeah, stated in that interview, says there's nothing more effed up than to completely pretend that his words and actions have not been recorded and in existence for the last decade or so. So it says you have people like Nancy Mace who constantly harass people that she finds inferior and wants them not to exist in this country or ever. And you have people like Trump who has incited violence against people like me. And so these people are full of it. That's not what she says. Obviously, I'm not going to read that here online. It says, and it's important for us to call them out while we feed anger and sadness and have empathy, which Charlie Kirk said shouldn't exist. Thank you. Thank you, Eddie, for embarrassing me. It says, I'm just kidding. It says, we feel anger and sadness and have empathy, which Charlie said shouldn't exist because that's a newly created words or something. Like, I have empathy for his kids and wife and what they're doing and what they're going through because I do not want for that family. Want that for my family, right? So yeah, her comments are quite remarkable. Anyway, so the alleged assassin's trans boyfriend apparently hates conservatives and Christians. This article goes on to talk about that. Says CBS indicating that Robinson himself allegedly had left-leaning political beliefs and disliked Kirk. Let's see. The relatives said he hated us. He was not raised that way, but he, over the years, has become really detached and been radicalized. Interesting. So Newsom, going bold here, changes the FAFO rally to yes on 50 after Charlie Kirk's assassination. I think he's doing this out of boldness because Charlie Kirk is not here to call him out on it. Charlie often referenced his podcast with Gavin Newsom, talking on the hot debates that they discussed. And so this is some of the stuff that is coming out with his boldness there, unfortunately. Already went through that article. This is the other article. So that says, let's see if we can continue on here. And I think we've basically covered almost everything. Now, this is something that I think should be mentioned. This is legally insufficient state terrorism charges dismissed against Luigi. We're not going to say his last name. We shouldn't even said his name. But anyway, this is somebody who people are praising. People are praising. Says this isn't there isn't violence from both sides. Obviously not from the left. I think they're very cautious, but there is violence. However, you're saying there isn't violence. There is some violence on the left. but it's more with their words because they're praising the death of Charlie Kirk. And it's unfortunate that they are still continuing to show us that they cannot be trusted, that they cannot actually have an honest conversation. They're only proving themselves more wrong and proving Charlie more right. He's gone. He's long gone. I mean, he's alive more than ever now. Says the state terrorism charges against Luigi over the cold-blooded assassination of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson were tossed Tuesday morning, but the judge kept the second-degree murder charges against the Ivy League graduate. It says his lawyers argued, as expected, that the New York City case and parallel federal death penalty prosecution amounted to double jeopardy. But Judge Gregory rejected the argument, saying it would be premature to make such determination. This is Pam Bondi to seek death penalty for this man. It says murder of Brian Thompson and an innocent man, a father of 2 young children, was premeditated, cold-blooded assassination that shocked America after careful consideration. I have directed, let's go to more. It says, I have directed federal prosecutors to seek the death penalty in this case as we carry out President Trump's agenda to stop violent crime and make America safe again. That's what Pam Bondi has said in this post. It says, this guy walked into Manhattan criminal court wearing a tan prison jumpsuit shortly before 9:30 a.m. for the hearing on several pretrial motions. Dozens of members of the press packed the courtroom, as well as members of the public. It says, while the defendant was clearly expressing an animus towards UHC, the healthcare industry generally, it does not follow that his goal was to intimidate or coerce a civilian population, and indeed, there was no evidence presented as such goal. Interesting. Now, I do want to find the clip of the Senate hearing from of Kash Patel as he's being grilled by senators. Let me see. They actually don't have the transcript. Let me see if I can find the guy. Yeah, they're not going to have it in this one. So there was some, let's see here. It's wild. They go wild on this. I'm telling you. So let me see if this is it. I think this is going to be the one. You know what? It might be, I think it was NBC. What are you guys' thoughts on this? Really? Oh, here we go. This might be it.
Generally speaking, an individual is terminated at the FBI.
Law enforcement officials in Utah have caught.
Here we go.
That St. Louis received the largest permit in our meetings prior to your confirmation. During your confirmation, we talked about your desire to get more agents out into the field, out of Washington, and take on violent crime. And you fulfilled that. St. Louis received the largest permanent per capita infusion of FBI agents anywhere in the country. And I know it's not only an isolated event, but we certainly appreciate your honoring your commitment to do that. And I know there's a lot of great opportunities ahead to take on violent crime, which you've highlighted many of the successes in your introductory comments. It's obviously no secret that this hearing takes place in the wake of a horrific American tragedy, the assassination of Charlie Kirk. For those of us who knew him, I know you did too.
Now, Jennifer, I don't think they're replacing Charlie Kirk. I think people might misunderstand or might mistake the fact that they're trying to replace Charlie Kirk. I think what they're doing is they're just honoring him. And people like Ben and like Candace and like many others, even J.D. Vance, are stepping to sort of complete or to fulfill the mandate that Charlie set forth. I think a lot of them have this sort of fire, this righteous fire, this way to honor him in this place, because nobody's going to ever replace Charlie Kirk. He was a very unique man in where he was, in his mind, in his thinking, in his thought process. Very, very, very important to know that they're not going to replace him. Nobody at Turning Point USA is going to replace him. Nobody will be able to replace him. Even if they're just not going to put anybody in that chair. At least I don't think so. In his chair specifically. Now, what happens with that? I don't know.
It's still sort of difficult to put into words what a tragic loss that is, not just for his family, but for our country, for free speech, for a
Tish, where's
belief
your
that we
audio?
can have a free exchange of ideas.
Where's your evidence for the fact that he planted people in audiences to debate?
And take his life.
Because anybody could come up to the mic. He even said, anybody who disagrees with me, come up to the mic.
But I think that we face an even larger
If
crisis that law enforcement alone.
If it were me, I'd want people to make me look good.
Alone.
Right? Wouldn't you
It's
all?
a crisis that is culminated in the assassination of Charlie. But it doesn't end there. It's I think.
See, you're just proving a point, Tish. You're just proving a point. You're just a part of the team that praises the assassination
that have taken place
without
after the
saying it.
assassination. It's something that I think as a country we have to reckon with. And it's something deeper, much deeper than a rejection of law and order or the norms of civil society. We've entered a very dangerous time, I think, in our country. And that should be clear to everyone. Political violence is a sign of a deep and corrosive sickness in any society. But in America today, the problem is just not political violence in the abstract. It is the specific kind of political violence which is overwhelmingly driven by a specific set of actors and groups. None of this emerged out of thin air. Over the past week, leaders from across the political spectrum have come out and forcefully condemned Charlie's murder and political violence more broadly. For that, we're all very grateful. We should be grateful. There have been calls to unite and come together in the wake of Charlie's murder, and I want to do that. I do. Someday I pray that we can be united as a country again and go forward together.
I'm trying to find the spot that he talks about the fact that the left is the one. And he basically asks Kash Patel, well, who's it? I'm going to name a few different events and you tell me who it is. And he goes off.
Something worth fighting for, which I believe ideology or cause ideology. But we have to be honest about what's happening. Already, left wing.
Here we go.
Sir, I'll roll.
Nearly from a left wing or right.
By the way, both sides show hypocrisy. Yes, I agree. Both sides do in different ways.
Tell me if each one of the following perpetrators or alleged perpetrators were acting from a left wing or right wing
this is for you.
Right wing political violence. The man who tried to kill Republican congressman at the congressional baseball practice, nearly killing House Majority Leader Steve Scalise. Left wing or right wing violence?
Sir, I believe it was a left wing ideology.
Okay. Burned down cities during the Summer of Love in the George Floyd riots. Left wing violence or right wing violence?
Sir, I'll rely on you on these. I don't have off the top of my head. I'm sorry.
Okay, left wing. The Waukesha Christmas Parade massacre, left wing or right wing violence? Left wing. The Lee Zeldin stabbing attempt, left wing or right wing? Left wing. The Covenant school shooting in Nashville, left wing or right wing? Left wing. The Butler, Pennsylvania assassination attempt on President Trump, left wing or right wing? Left wing. The Trump International West Palm Beach assassination attempt, left wing. The Abundant Life Christian school shooting, left wing. The United Care CEO's murder, left wing. Tesla's burned, keyed, damaged, firebombed, left wing, left wing. The murders at the Israeli embassy, left wing. The ICE facilities firebombed, left wing. The Minnesota Catholic school shooting, left wing. The anti-white Charlotte and North Carolina stabbing, left wing. The attempted Utah News State firebombing, left wing. And now, of course, the culmination of this vile trend, a left-wing assassination of Charlie Kirk. So don't give me this both sides. If we want to get to unity, let's be honest. Let's be honest. Free speech, yes. Political violence, no. But let's be honest.
Wild. Now this actually goes pretty hot here, and I want to cover this on a more in-depth podcast.
We're so thankful for the dedication of resources.
Mr. Patel, I want to start off where we left off last time. I asked you whether you had any knowledge or discussions about removing FBI officials and installing political personnel before you were confirmed to that position. And I wonder, did you then understand or have conversations with the White House about the intentions to do so?
Before I was confirmed?
Yes, sir.
Did I have discussions with the White House to remove FBI personnel?
Yes.
No.
So you're saying that you had no discussions with the White House before you were in the position about the removal of any personnel from the agency?
As I was preparing for my confirmation hearing, I had numerous discussions involving the type of people that would be employed, and that those that were failing to meet the mark at the FBI would no longer be employed if I were
And I'm
confirmed.
assuming that mark had to do with loyalty to the Trump administration.
No, you're wrong.
Okay. I'd like to revisit another subject from that hearing. Did you testify, excuse me, you did testify before the grand jury that President Trump had declassified the documents at issue in the Mar-a-Lago classified documents case. Is that correct?
I don't have the grand jury transcript. That's why I released it. Whatever it says is the best evidence.
You know, that's what you said to Senator Whitehouse, that your grand jury testimony was publicly released. It has not been. In fact, in July, a court denied a news outlet's bid to get that transcript. But the court said quite clearly that you are free to discuss your grand jury testimony. So I ask you again, did you testify before the grand jury that President Trump declassified the documents at issue in the Mar-a-Lago classified document case?
And that is why I took your invitation to work with the department and the court to have that transcript released. And the transcript is the best evidence of what I said then.
So you're saying right now this committee can have access to what you said before the grand jury?
To whatever was released. Under my understanding, Senator, that the
hold
Department
on.
of Justice
You and I both
released...
understand the law. Let me finish. I understand under Rule 6 of the Federal Rules of Procedure, a grand jury witness, in this case you, is not barred from sharing their grand jury testimony. This is an oversight hearing. This is germane to your integrity and credibility. You know right now whether or not you testified that President Trump declassified the documents at issue in the Mar-a-Lago classified documents case. Why are you refusing to answer that simple yes or no question right now?
Because the premise of your question is inaccurate, and
There is no premise to my question, but trying to get to an order of what is truth or not.
How do you How do you know what was asked in the grand jury if you weren't there?
Mr. Purcell, this is a mockery you're making of this hearing and simple questions.
It's a simple question. If you have
Mr.
a
Patel,
transcript,
during
you can
your
read the
nomination
question, but you don't have it.
You promised that, quote, all FBI employees will be protected against political retribution. When I asked you, are you aware of any plans or discussions to punish in any
Tish,
way,
I think you just got exposed by 5G,
FBI
Trevor.
agents or personnel associated with the Trump administration, you explicitly said under oath that you were not aware of any plans to punish FBI agents associated with criminal investigations of Donald Trump. I don't believe you were truthful. Firing FBI employees.
By the way, you say, Jennifer, no, they literally said Ben Shapiro is going to be the head of his organization and the new debate bro. Who said this? Where was this said? Did Turning Point USA officially say this? I'm curious. I haven't heard anything of that sort. I do know that he was going to continue on with doing the debates in college campuses. Whether he will fulfill that mandate, who knows? But he won't fully. Charlie didn't want to give up his organization. It's a Christian organization. Look, the fact of the matter is that Charlie indeed is somebody who probably had contingencies in place should this happen, because he knew the dangers. Go look at the George Janko podcast. He talks about some of those dangers. Go look at the Coffee Hour podcast. I think he mentions that there, if I'm not mistaken. He said it in numerous other times in other personal podcasts that he knew and understood that there was danger, that there could be danger at these rallies. However, I'm sure that should his passing come, which it did come into fulfillment, he would have most certainly had a contingency plan in the case of that would, happen. So who would step in? Who would fill that chair? Would it be somebody specific? Nobody knows. But I do imagine that being that it is his company, he's the CEO, he's the founder, he would have had some kind of plan in place, or some policies that are already in place for somebody to fill his chair. I'm just curious to know what that could be. But as much as I want to continue the Senate hearing,
I do want to stop it here because that is for another time. It's gonna be wild. I highly recommend that we just go back to revisit the different things that are said on this testimony, on this hearing. If you haven't watched it, you can watch it on your own, but it's just so much fun when we're doing this live because we just get to talk about everything that is happening. So guys, thank you so much for being here. If you guys enjoyed what you guys saw, if you guys enjoyed what you heard, let's make this something that is regular, right? Let's get this out there. Let's share the word. Please like, subscribe, all that cool stuff. You're free to do so. We're free to have an honest discord on this podcast, on this platform. Let's further the ability to have these conversations and for nobody on either side to be shut down, just as Charlie Kirk was. Let's continue to have these things and just follow for more because we're going to be keeping update on everything that is going on. We know that later in September, we will have the viewing of the whole court. I think it's going to be virtual. I'm not sure if it's going to be in person or broadcasted of Charlie Kirk's alleged assassin. So we're going to be viewing that. We're going to be watching live. We're going to be commentating live. And hopefully you're there to watch and join and comment as we really just keep a tab on all this that is happening. So guys, I thank you so much for being here. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.